In this section, we'll try to look at the most common errors you might encounter while testing your new strategy. You see, the first line validation check only filters out vital errors that prevents the e-wizard to create a source file. These are if there are no actions at all or two orders try to use the same magic number. Note that there might be some additional errors that appears only in MetaEditor, like when you have empty rule slots. Beside all that, the expert will do what you told it to do, and that might be different from what you originally imagined. The most important rule to follow is there are no one on the other side to think like you do and connect even the most obvious things together. You have to tell it everything and think of all the possibilities and find the best solution of the many different ways you have. The first and most common error you encounter is when you have no order placed despite of all the rules. The first thing you need to check is the log tab to see whether the MetaTrader 4 blocks the orders while the expert tries to activate them, or there are no signs whatsoever. As you know, for a market order to be placed you will need an unused magic number and a valid quantity. But apart from that, there should be an opposite counterpart who you can buy to or sell from. In live trading it happens that due to some volatile movements the broker neglects your order or it exceeds the maximum slippage limit. If you use a formula to the size, make sure that 1. Each part of the operation is already a set figure, and 2. The result is in lots of the right format. With some accounts you won't be able to use microlots, and in some instruments like stock CFDs the size is counted differently and thus your order won't be placed. For pendings, the price has to be in a price format. If you use a formula or an indicator, the output has to have an exact place on the chart and your expert has to be able to use all the indicators or parts that are in the formula. So for example, if you want to place an order on another position stop, you will need to have that stop first. Many brokers deny orders within a given range, usually 5 pips. In these cases, you will see an error message in the log. If all these seems to be right and you don't see anything in the log, the problem is in the if section. If you have a very complex set of rules, you might want to test them separately when each would trigger. Some conditions naturally rule out others or limit the occurrence so narrow it will be practically never happen. For example, if you set exact time rules to one-time events like crosses or bar opens. In these cases, it's better to use double conditions with assigned variable as we learned. It's also better to avoid too complicated structuring conditions with a lot of ands and ors, for a misplaced bracket can also be a source of error. The second error I'd like to talk about is the immediate delete, which looks like this, and shows that one rule constantly tries to put in an order while the other one is deleting it immediately. This is happening if a close action is activated and affects all other positions. Rules like closed, open this bar or minute will stay active on that period. So, for example, if you want to close all positions as a certain one was closed, using that order will close everything in the following minute. Another possible reason, if you put your stop or take profit formula in the wrong section or don't convert, and thus it gets on the price and immediately triggered after opening. As I mentioned before, activation of order replacement can also cause complications if the price of the pending is changing. The most fundamental tool to risk management is not setting the stop distance, but choosing the right size. So size mistakes are perhaps the most dangerous error types for your expert. Often, it is not even that easy to notice during backtests, so make sure you check it separately. While using the money management settings, the most common reasons for a wrong size is wrong base currency set. The formula for the profit and loss looks like this, so you can use it in an Excel, for example, to check everything. Note that this uses unit which has to be multiplied by 100,000 to be a lot. With many brokers, the size for commodities are counted differently, so you might want to be careful with those as well. The last type of the typical errors we examine is when your order appears in the wrong place, not where you imagined it should. The more simple case is when it's due to the latency or weak execution of your broker. Latency can be decreased if you use a VPS close to your broker's server, but you can also ask them which of their server might be faster for you and change it in the MetaTrader. Also, your terminal will be faster if you don't keep too many charts open. Actually, very few brokers perform well in volatile events, mostly those who have direct access and an open order book. The other and more likely reason is that the mistake is in your script. You set a formula for the price in the wrong form, or you are using confusing rules that are activated in undesired places. As you remember, in the if section when we discussed the different indicators, I mentioned the importance of the indicator output. It is also advisable to look up how the given indicator is counted, so you might be able to set better rules upon it or choose more optimal periods. Of course, while bad entries might be harmful, your results will be more affected by your exits, so you have to mind the accuracy of your exit rules even more.